Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Monday, I had to check my phone, 15th of September. That's a good start. I hope you're all doing well. I'm Derek Clark, of course. I'm joined this morning by Chris Jack. How goes it, Chris?
The days and the drama just all roll into one right now, Derek. It's hard to tell where we are, what we're doing, or what day of the week it is. So I understand your predicament this morning.
Yeah, about as organised as Rangers, that's for sure. But maybe not as that bad. But we'll talk all things Rangers. Before we do that, a quick word for our podcast sponsors. Willows Fencing. If you're looking for a new fence, folks, then these are the guys to call. The Glasgow-based fencing company you can trust and proud partners of the Rangers Review. They've got over 20 years of experience and they're offering free consultations no matter how big the job is. And you also get 10% off if you use the code Rangers Review over on their website, which is willows-fencing.com. Right. I was on with Johnny yesterday morning, Chris. Ideally, I would have liked to lie in, but given that Rangers had another diabolical performance against Hearts, then I was given the call at the 11th hour to have a chat about all things Rangers. And thank you to all who tuned in. Crazy numbers that tuned in to that show. But myself and Johnny gave our opinion on where it's gone wrong for Rangers and where did they go from here. Now, you had the piece on the website, an update on Russell Martin's future yesterday, just before 12 noontime. It looks like he's going nowhere, Chris. First of all, your thoughts on what you witnessed at the weekend and that sort of board support for the manager, who for me is a dead man walking and he needs to be put out his misery for me. It's not going to work, but the board think differently to that.
I don't know who got the shortest end of the straw yesterday morning, you and Johnny for having to come on and talk about it, or me for having to write the James Tavernier stuff and then send a million text messages to try and find out what was happening with Russell Martin, and then get the news that nobody wanted. We put that piece on the site yesterday morning, yesterday lunchtime, and I don't think my phone was fairly busy and my X notifications were fairly busy yesterday, but I don't think there was a widespread groundswell of support for Russell Martin as Rangers head coach, put it that way. On Saturday, myself and Blair spoke about it post-match. It didn't come as a surprise, and that should be one of the most galling aspects for anyone associated with this football club, that they expect that it wasn't a big surprise. The Hearts came to Ibrox, played the way they did, got the result that they did, but also that Rangers turned up at Ibrox, played the way that they did, and got the result that they did. I said to Blair after the game on Saturday on the show, if you switch managers in the dugout, Rangers don't lose that game. And it's as simple as that. Rangers do not have a manager right now or a head coach that can win enough games to win the league. Winning the league is a million miles from people's thoughts right now, because they know that in this setup, unless things change dramatically, it's not going to happen. Well, five games in, you're 9 points off the pace already. In what world is that acceptable for Rangers Football Club? It's completely unacceptable. It's unsustainable, and the reaction, not just like at the full-time whistle, we've seen teams being booed off fairly regularly over the last couple of seasons for the booing and the heckling and the abuse to start while the game's ongoing, when passes are not being played and the ball's just being knocked about and there's no tempo and there's no urgency. When the reaction is then there during phases of play, that's one thing. You're booed off at half-time. Russell Martin is booed as he's coming back out onto the touchline at half-time. It's been bad at Rangers over recent seasons, but never in the days of the worst of Clement or the worst of Gio or the worst of Caixinha or the worst of Beale. Manager has never been booed coming back out onto the touchline at half-time. So Russell Martin is setting records for all the wrong reasons. Rangers' worst start in almost 50 years. As I said there, it's unsustainable. It cannot continue. And that's why we see the reaction on social media. You see the reaction at Ibrox. We see the reaction on the show. There's very few people, as the comments tick along on my right-hand side here, there's not many people saying, give the manager a chance. I can see something that's going that's going to get better here, because there is nothing to suggest that this is going to get any better under Russell Martin's tenure.
Which is bewildering to think that he retains the support of the board, and I just don't understand what they are seeing from him. Listen, I know he gave the spiel in his press conference that they look good in training. Who cares about training? I couldn't care less if they're away playing pool and going to the pub from Monday to Friday. As long as they turn up on a Saturday and get 3 points, that's all that everyone's bothered about. Nobody's caring, gives a jot about if they do well at rondos or at shooting practice or whatever. It's the here and now. They need to pick up points, and they're not doing so. And there's nothing to suggest that it's going to change anytime soon. Now, for me, that with the board backing, attention and the ire should transition from Russell Martin, from my point of view, Chris, towards the guys that appointed him, the football department, and the powers that be at the top. Now, Gaz Jones, with a point here, says that the chairman needs to speak. Remember when Andrew Cavenagh and Parag Marathi came over and said, you won't hear from us if the team are doing well. The team are doing really badly. The fans need to hear from these guys, surely, and they need to give an explanation as to why they're sticking by this manager, head coach, whatever you want to say, and what their ambitions are for the season ahead, because it's clear to me, you said it's totally unacceptable, which is being kind. 10th. There's a chance before Rangers get back to league action that they could be bottom of the table, which is, I mean, we're into territory that is just alien to anyone, really. Have Rangers ever been in fearing relegation before? Taking out, of course, the 2012, that was a different matter, but this is just beyond belief bad at this moment in time. So I think the fans have a right to hear from the guys at the top as to what their ambitions are, where they expect Rangers to be at this point in time, because they certainly can't expect the fans to be pitching with hard-earned money to go and watch this rabble. And of course, the Europa League packages just came out. Why should they go and buy packages and go and watch Rangers at this point in time? It's a two-way street. You can't expect the fans just to pay their money blindly and go and support the team no matter what is being served up. And this is so far away from acceptable, it defies belief. I think that's a fair comment. Do the fans need to hear from perhaps Andrew Cavenagh, Parag Marathi?
I would be surprised if they do. I think the last time you saw a Rangers executive or a Rangers position or someone in a position of power at the club come about and back a manager in difficult circumstances, the manager was gone within a few days. Sat in the Rangers media room that afternoon with Patrick Stewart, and he outlined why the club were still backing Philippe Clement and why he was the right man to take them forward, and spoke about the culture and all the off-field issues that had to be sorted, and it wasn't just hiring and firing coaches. And of course, history tells a very different story. Pressure game became too much. Results and performances became too much, and Clement had to be sacked. That was a real blow to, I think, the reputation of Patrick Stewart, that he had to back a manager and then sack a manager in such a short space of time. So I'd be surprised if you see anyone looking to put their head above the parapet right now and say this is why we're backing Russell Martin, because there's no guarantee, as I mentioned there is no guarantee. There's nothing to suggest that this is going to get any better under the current setup. If there was something, if you could see, I feel like we've spoken about a style of play so often this season. Not really sure what that style of play is. If someone more tactically astute than me can explain what Rangers are actually trying to do and give me something to buy into, great, because there's nothing there. If there was something, if there was a way of playing, if there was a continuous thread throughout these games to suggest this is what they're trying to do, it's not quite working yet, but give it time, give us more training sessions. The signings have been really good. They've got the required quality, they've got the required mentality, most importantly. Give us a bit more time and it will work. Russell Martin spoke a few weeks ago about the pain coming and then the gain. When's the gain part coming? He's had enough time on the training ground We've had enough games, spent enough money, and you still can't win games. If you're going to be Rangers manager, you simply have to win these matches. No one is saying he has to qualify for the Champions League and win the Old Firm game 3-0 at Ibrox. All he had to do was beat Motherwell, was beat St Mirren, go into the Old Firm game in a better frame of mind. You win your game at Ibrox against Dundee, which 9 times out of 10 should be a gimme. You've then got Hearts, obviously, as a more difficult game, a bigger challenge, but you're still expected to go and win that game. And there's been nothing in any of these games to suggest that Rangers were the dominant team, that they were aggressive, that they were on the front foot. All the things all the things that Russell Martin continues to say about this side and what they're going to be, there's nothing to suggest that it's going to be there, and that's why the fans are as angry, and why the apathy is setting in once again, because there's nothing there for them to hold on to, and we'd love to hear, what do the board, what does Andrew Cavenagh as chairman, what does he see that 50,000 Rangers fans on Saturday did not see, that the subscribers to our website don't see, that the people that watch the show, what do Rangers see that we don't see? Because if there was something there, I think people would start to not exactly get all on Russell Martin's side, but there has to be something there. But there's nothing to suggest that this is going to get any better anytime soon, and that's why the calls for change are as loud and are as consistent right now. As you touched on there, Derek, the crowd against Hibs on Saturday night is going to be really, really interesting. The numbers of Europa League packages that have been sold would be really interesting to know, because once people start to disengage with the club, that then becomes a different problem. Once it hits the bottom line, that becomes a different problem. So yes, the club is in a far healthier and a more stable financial position than it has been at a number of times in recent years. But that support, as you outlined there, that support cannot be taken for granted. If you take the Rangers support for granted and you think they'll turn up and they'll accept anything, you've badly misunderstood and badly taken the wrong stance on it. If you think that the Rangers fans will just settle for what they're being served up right now, it's not going to happen.
You're right there. I think I'm starting to think like Andrew Cavenagh, Parag Marathi, Patrick Stewart, Kevin Thelwell, Dan Purdy's there, part of the football department, Greta Steinson. I think they've underestimated this club, to be honest, given that they're sticking by Russell Martin, seem to be putting their fingers in their ears at this point in time and not listening to the fans and not looking with their own eyes at what is unfolding on the pitch, which is just a total and utter mess. Like you, that there's nothing there that you can see this is going to turn anytime soon. The players look lost. I know Russell Martin wheeled out the anxiety spiel in his press conference, which he has done at his previous clubs as well. The fans simply aren't buying this. And incidentally, that is because, for me, in my opinion, is because they are being sent out there with no idea, a system and what they're trying to do. They're getting too much information passed on to them. Don't think the players truly believe that Russell Martin is the man to lead the club. Now, they need information, they need tactics given to them. It's down to the players once they cross that white line to do the business. But if they're not organised and set up in a particular way to go and win football matches, then you're on to plums, basically. And Rangers don't look like winning any game at this point in time. We've got, as I touched on earlier, a bit of a break now. Hibs in the Cup. Hibs, get your money on them. I think that is pretty much a given. If they turn up organised under David Gray, I can see them winning quite comfortably at Ibrox next week. And then you've got Livingston away, Falkirk away. Never easy games on those artificial surfaces. They will certainly fancy their chances. How much more pain can the fans stomach here before a change is made? I think, it's time to hear from the powers that be. And by backing the manager, then the fans' frustration, we've already seen that on social media in the stands and what have you as well. They're now starting to turn their attention and their anger towards those guys above Russell Martin. So, yeah, it really is a sorry state of affairs. Lots of comments coming in, incidentally, so let's get to a few of those. Thank you very much for your donation, buddy. Shagged X says, touching on the environment comments from Martin, there will be no environment in Ibrox as it will be empty. Another excuse gone soon. Chris Dykes with a point says, thank you for the donation, Chris. How bad does it get before this board and owners act? Don't go to Ibrox and don't buy merchandise until he's away. Seen many. I know a number of Bears, incidentally, season ticket holders and the likes are just not going at this point in time. They've had enough, and I don't blame them. Why should they go? James Strachan from Down Under. Thank you for your donation, James. I think his chat is now. I will do it until I'm told not to. That's the thing. I know he was asked in the press conference, Chris, will you resign? Managers don't resign these days. It's not the 1990s anymore. There's huge payoffs associated with getting sacked. Football's unlike any other business where you get rewarded for failure, and he will be due a tidy sum when the inevitable happens and he is dismissed. So, yeah, he's not going to walk away from his duties at this point in time. The point on the atmosphere he mentioned and the anxiety, he was alluding to the fans, of course, Russell Martin. I don't think that the fans are to blame here, Chris. Rangers is a tough environment. And this goes back to my point. I think he's underestimated things. And one of the comments that sort of sent alarm bells off for me was that 1-1 draw with Dundee, where Martin came out and he said it sort of surprised him how Dundee set up. That for me tells me that he hasn't really watched Rangers as much as he should have before he got the job. And yeah, when you join Rangers, the shirt is often too heavy for a number of players. You need the right mentality. You can be a top class player, but if you don't have the broad shoulders to wear that jersey, it can be a really daunting place at times. But if you play and if you give the fans something, it can be incredible as well. So I'm not necessarily buying that. I think that falls on the coach. We've not really seen him before sort of taking responsibility about tactics and the likes. It's always something else that is a problem other than his shape or what he's asking the players to do here.
The point about Ibrox and expectations and demand and the crowd, that's just life at Rangers. If you don't accept that, if you can't handle that, if you don't want to embrace that, then you're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong job. You've signed for the wrong football club. That is just Rangers. Is it unfair? Perhaps, but it doesn't make any difference because that is this football club and that is this city. You have to win matches. You have to win silverware. If you don't win matches and you don't win silverware, you won't last very long. The situation that Russell inherited was not a great one. There has been successive failures, obviously. So he's come in at a time where people are already on edge. He admitted himself that fans didn't perhaps want him at the club in the first place, but he comes in. I think there was a section that we're willing to give him a crack at it, to give him a chance. But he's come in on the back of season after season of failure, and he's not improved it. He's not made it better. He's not given the fans anything to buy into, to latch on to. Arguably, made it worse and spent a lot of money doing so. So that's why he's under the pressure that he's under. That's why he's getting the chance and the boos and the abuse and the reaction. Not because Rangers is a tough place to play. Of course it is. He should know that. He's been here and experienced that. Of course Rangers is a tough place to play. But that reaction that they're getting is because they've painted themselves into that corner. They're not getting that reaction because they're sitting with 5 wins from 5 and they narrowly missed out on the Champions League, getting beat by Club Brugge on penalties, and they won the Old Firm game with a really good performance. If he had done what he should have done, what was perfectly possible at the start of this season, the reaction would not have been there. People would still say, not really convinced that Russell Martin's the right place. He's still got questions to answer. Can he be the man that gets Rangers over the line in a title race? But the start's been good. There's something there for us to buy into. The reaction is a result of what the Rangers fans are seeing, not the cause. The reaction is because they're not seeing anything to suggest that this team under this manager can be champions this season, and not even be champions, be proper challengers. if there's enough to suggest that they'll maybe get after the split and they'll lose the league by 4 points, maybe lose the last Old Firm game, and that's the one that tips it, and Celtic then go on and win the title. Yes, people will be disappointed. Yes, people will be angry. Yes, it can't be accepted, but it would be nowhere near the levels that we're seeing right now. So the fact that Ibrox is becoming an increasingly difficult place to play for players, it's because Rangers keep making the same mistakes, and they put themselves in this position.
This is the deal. Johnny made a point yesterday, and I seen it sparked a bit of a reaction. He said that this is Rangers. It isn't Brentford. Rangers are Juventus, if you like, in Scotland. This is a behemoth of a football club. You know what you buy into when you're part of it. It can be absolutely fantastic when things are going your way, but the demands placed upon you mean that it's a tough environment in times, and you have to deliver. Can't expect fans to be happy at losing goals and watching the turgid nonsense that's been served up and just not having a negative reaction to that. That is just naive for me. Incidentally, I want to play James Tavernier. There was an embargoed press conference. He came out and spoke. Interesting stuff from Tav in this. We're going to play a clip. Blair asked him a question about, is there enough anger in the dressing room after, this poor start to the season, and of course Saturday's result. This is what he had to say.
Of anger in the stands. Maybe fans get frustrated because they don't see the players getting as angry. Is there anger in that changing room?
I would believe so. Coming in after that game, it's embarrassing, to lose 2-0 at home. It's not really to create much chances. Obviously, some of the decisions I felt could have gone differently. The first goal, our goal, but that's still no excuses for the general game today. It hurts and so it should, but we as a team can't go astray and start going by ourselves. We have to really stick together and prove a point to the fans. We have to.
When you say that you believe that there's anger, it kind of creates the impression that you're maybe not quite sure. Are you seeing anger, or are you just assuming that the others feel internally?
I can obviously, as I say, like football. I think football's changed quite a lot over the years. As in players, as in characters in players. Obviously, we've got quite a young team, so this is new to a lot of players that have came here. I can definitely say everyone's obviously ashamed in that dressing room, and deep down, obviously, I could probably say they're all angry. But so obviously, it's the senior boys that are obviously voicing that, but we all have to sit together and we have to do better than this.
Thought that was interesting stuff from Tav there, Chris. He looks just done in by this start, and what I guess that they're being asked to do in the dressing room as well. That tells me that reading between the lines there, and Alan McCoy sort of touched on this during commentary after the Bruges game, or during the Bruges game. Rangers have signed a load of kids in there that are just unfamiliar with the level of demands, expectations, the standards that Rangers stand for. And that is a problem to me. There's not enough men and leaders in that dressing room to hold people to account. And that is a problem, and that is an issue on recruitment for me. I don't think Rangers, and Joshua touched on this on a number of shows as well, questioning whether Rangers have bought themselves a spine. Watching Tav's interview there, I just think they don't have enough proper leaders in that dressing room.
I thought that was a really interesting press conference from Tav, and those questions that you played there. I know people will say, "Oh, there's captain disappointed," and they'll give him a hard time for it. But I think you can't look at that press conference and look at the way that Tav spoke and looked there and say he doesn't care, and it's not hurt him. No, he speaks there about hurt and ashamed and the anger. I think you can safely say that he is angry and that he is hurt and that he is ashamed by what is what's going on at this football club. We spoke there about the senior guys in the squad. So you can imagine it's himself, like Jack Butland, like John Souttar. You can imagine they're the ones that are voicing those opinions and that are trying to bring others with them. But we spoke about it towards the end of the transfer window. We spoke about it after the window closed. Do Rangers have enough players that just get it, that just understand what this club is about, and that can handle it? And I think when you see someone like James Tavernier there, he just looked scunnered with the whole situation. Just looked completely, almost he's the one that also has to answer the questions. He has to try and put the situation into words, but he just looked bereft there, and can't quite believe what he's playing in, what he's watching, what he's seeing. And I think it's safe to say, what he's surrounded with, and what he's surrounded with is a squad that, on the face of it right now, doesn't look as if it has the minerals to be Rangers players, and that's a problem. Again, we spoke about that throughout the whole summer. You can be the most technically gifted player in the world. You can understand the tactics. You can train really well Monday to Friday. See if you step out on a Saturday at Ibrox and you look around and it all just becomes a bit too much for you. You're no use as a Rangers player, and that's the thing, that all the metrics, all the stats, all the numbers that you can throw at any area of football these days, you can't measure someone's mentality. You only really find out what they've got once they're in the building. Obviously, by that time, it's too late. And this squad has a lot to prove that they can be successful Rangers players, that they do have the mentality and they do have the character. And that's a big factor for Rangers fans. You look at the players and the teams and the managers and the eras that they revere and that they cling on to and that they are successful in. They've got big characters in them. They've got guys who will stand up to Big County. They've got guys who have big voices, who produce big performances in big moments. And there's too many in that squad that right now look as if they don't have that ability about them.
Yeah, look last season you had the likes of Barry in there, McGregor, Neil McCann, Billy Dodds, guys that have been there and done it for Rangers. Now, not necessarily saying that it was totally successful on the park, of course, but you take all that out and there's no one there with that sort of Rangers background. I was thinking about this yesterday and thinking, how many Rangers fans are in that squad as well? I'm not saying just fill your squad and your team with Bears, but I think there should be a scattering of guys that bleed blue, if you like, that are proper dyed-in-the-wool Rangers supporters. There's not really many in there that are playing consistently for the club. Some of the young boys, of course, coming through, but there's not enough, as McCoy's touched on, Rangers men in there for me. And I think that's important as well to factor in. What does the future hold? It remains to be seen. But like you say, Hibs coming up, I think that's David Gray just has to organise and shape his team up in a way. He'll have looked at the playbook, how teams have been getting results against Rangers, and if he does that, then I'd back them to get a result and make it to the semi-final. Now, of course, the issue regarding Russell Martin has taken precedence this weekend, but it'd be remiss of us not to discuss some flashpoints in the game, Chris, and of course it was highlighted yesterday in a game at Rugby Park, a VAR decision that has been widely condemned, really, and laughed at by people in the game and out with Scottish football. Now, there was a few flashpoints in the game at Ibrox, namely the opening goal, Lawrence Shanklin with a handball. I'm going to play a clip from Lawrence where he admits it hits his arm. And of course, they had the penalty shout, the Rangers goal that was chopped off as well. But this is what Lawrence Shanklin had to say about the Hearts goal.
It hit my hand and my arm in the build up, so I kind of knew that, and I was running forward thinking we better not score here, because I wasn't quite sure on the rule whether it counted or not, but obviously I couldn't remember the touches that had happened in between then, and then obviously Braga slipped me down the side, and it was a good finish, what I've been told. I've not seen it back yet, but I was just thinking no again, because Aberdeen goal obviously get chopped off a few weeks ago, but when the ref pointed to the spot, I was delighted.
Some baffling decisions in that game, as I touched on. Yesterday's was a joke as well. I expected this at the start of the season. If you remember, folks, we talked about the dubious, to put it kindly, refereeing calls last season. I fully expected, despite Willie Collum saying they're going to change things and make it better. I don't believe they're really looking to improve the standards in Scottish football with regards to the officiating. My personal view is they should bin off VAR. There's no point having it if it's not used correctly, if you don't have the individuals in there that are going to utilise it for the benefit of the game. So I don't see the point in paying for it. What do you make of some of the calls on Saturday, Chris?
It's good to see the referees picking up where they left off last season. They've clearly had a good summer, refresh and rebuild, and they've had a good pre-season, and they've hit the ground running, it has to be said. It's just, we speak about the situation that Rangers are in not being acceptable. Standard of refereeing in Scotland is not acceptable. Now, we spoke about it a number of times last season. We spoke about VAR and the way that it's been used, and I think we both agreed a number of times that it's not the system that's at fault, it's the people that are using it. And if you don't have people in those positions that can make the right calls at the right time, then you can have all the technology and all the angles in the world. It makes no difference. And those big decisions there, the Shankland handball, the Celtic penalty, I mean, what more can you say apart from the fact the referee got them wrong? Now you start at that point saying the referee got them wrong, and you can go as far as you like on that particular conversation. I think I said right at the start of the season or last season when they started bringing in the Willie Collum YouTube show, and he sat down and he and explained the decisions, and he went through them and offered a bit of insight into why they were made, why they were right, even though you disagreed with them, why they were wrong, and a number of calls over the course of the season. And I still think that's a good idea. I think it's good that Willie wants to sit down and try and be a bit more open and have those lines of communication with the most important people in the game, which is the fans. But it has to improve the standard. There's no point having the YouTube show. There's no point in having the YouTube show or having it on Sky and then coming on and saying, "We're sorry, we got that one wrong." Too late by that time. Just get the decisions right at the time, and then we don't have to spend the time watching the YouTube show to find out that the decision we all knew was wrong was actually wrong. And you've put a call in and you've apologised to a manager, or you put a call in and you've explained it to a manager. Just get the decisions right.
Yeah. Couldn't put it better myself. Unfortunately, I don't see it changing anytime soon. The SFA had an opportunity, incidentally, when Crawford Allen stepped aside to really think outside the box, but they had applications from all over the world, we were told, but Willie Collum apparently was the outstanding candidate. So there you go. Believe that if you will. It's all right doing that YouTube show after the fact. For me, if you are keeping it, make up the referees, make up the guys in the box, wherever, in the truck on VAR. Let's make it as transparent as humanly possible. Let's hear what the conversations are, what they're looking at. I don't see any reason why, and fans as well. Let's put it on in the fans in the stadium as well, because they don't know what's going on. So let's mic them up and let the fans hear what exactly is being said between the officials. But more embarrassing calls over the course of the weekend, and more to come, I would imagine. Right, that will do us there. Big thank you to Chris. Thank you to you all for tuning in to the show. Thank you, I missed this from you can't do that, who donated to the channel. Thank you, buddy. Hibs game needs boycotted. Only way the 49ers will act. So I'm sure that many others thinking the same on that front. Right, we'll call it a day there. We're not expecting any breaking news show later on today, but make sure if you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, folks, hit that notification bell. If there's anything breaking, you'll be the first to know before we go on and record. Right, enjoy your Monday, whatever you are doing, and we'll chat again soon. Bye for now.